Philip's on there. Who else have we got? Philip is signed in. Okay. I think that's it. Alumni are over here in Spark.
Hi there again.
Hey, we're back.
We're back.
You were hoping to get rid of us. I know.
You guys alumni?
I'm just John's an alumni. I'm just got the session,
Okay.
and I'm just gonna put my name on it here, but I'm gonna leave as soon as we get everybody in here. John knows how to drive this thing.
Yeah,
John.
I know we met you as a hacker. Now you're just different hats.
Just taking my different hat off. That's what we do at education. Wear a bunch of different hats.
All right, John. So you've got Philip. Hey, Philip. Yay. Philip was one of mine in Raleigh. He's now in Fayetteville. Is that right, Philip? He's in Fayetteville now, and so.
Yes, that's right. How are you doing, everyone?
Hi there.
I'm doing great.
Thank
you for joining us.
Oh, anytime, anytime.
All right, so it's recording right now. John, you know how this works. It's recording. They've got the link
Okay.
On the web, or you
and so there's Booker.
I don't know, cause
Hey, Jeff.
I'm.
So yeah, they're all logging in.
I'll put principal.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's not put
Mills. I don't know how many people gonna show up. Y'all might want to sit around this table.
We should be around. Do you know how many people?
So I said I don't know how many are gonna show up in person. The weather, we have a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you
I mean, the football helmets behind you.
Hey Jeff, how are you?
John.
Good, sir.
I'm just the facilitator for this group. They're gonna make me step out. It's time to go. This is John Shepard. John's gonna be your on-site facilitator. He's our adjunct, but he's also an alumni. So I'll let y'all make the introductions.
I'm not sure.
Come right on in.
Dale, was this your
That's
water?
my water.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we
That's
have,
set up and running.
well, we wait for a few minutes.
We're not ready yet.
No, it's just 3:30. You know, I lost Sarah's questions. I don't know what happened.
I have them and I got a lot of answers from for her.
Okay. I mean, I asked the questions about her first two questions I got to ask, but then I lost it. I don't know what happened. I might have erased them or something.
Oh, they're there. I'm sure I'll find it for you after this.
Yeah, I'll go into.
But I have her questions here.
Okay, that's good.
Do you want to see them?
Yeah, that'll be great.
Okay. Here are her questions.
Okay.
I don't erase mine.
Oh God, I'm sure that's something.
We'll have time tomorrow.
Yes, yeah.
And we have undergrads after this. Oh no, we have undergrad, we have alumni now.
Right.
And then current undergrads after this.
So that we can ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
What were you doing last block?
Hi, Dr. Booker.
Did you like my note?
Yes, I did.
Football helmet you got behind you.
Oh, that's the, my husband is this huge Steelers fan. So this is his area, so he has Steelers everywhere.
Also alumni.
Okay.
Because he's
See, I got to come to the office to do it.
I see. I was going to go on campus, but because of the severe weather, I couldn't.
Who's the professor?
Hello there.
Hi
We're
there.
going to get started here. I am Emma Savage Davis. I am one of 2 team members here.
And Madam Maria Schumann. I am from New Jersey, and thank you so much for coming.
Now, is everyone on here alumni?
Yes.
Yes.
How about if you introduce yourself then?
And tell us, how about the class and what program?
Hello, my name is Sherry McDonald. I graduated last summer, August 2018, curriculum and instruction.
Curriculum and instruction. And when did you graduate?
August
2018.
2018, just brand new.
Yes.
Okay, great. How about you, Philip?
I graduated under the administration, master's administration, in 2016.
In the online or on-site program?
The EDIC?
Yeah, I did my classes at Athens Drives High School in Raleigh.
And when did you graduate?
In 2016.
Okay.
Great.
Clarice?
Doris?
Doris? I can't see that. Okay, go.
Okay. I participated in the EDLS program and I graduate May 11th.
Okay. And Jeff?
I will graduate May 11th. I completed coursework 2 years ago in the EDLS.
In the what?
The EDLS.
EDLS. And John?
Yeah, I graduated from the MELS program, in 2013, and I also graduated in the EDLS program and finished up dissertation and everything last May, so May 28th.
All right. Is there anyone else online?
I am. My name is Kaylee Seide. I graduated with my master's in curriculum and instruction in May of 2018.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. We are here to verify information in the university's self-study because they tell us about who they are and what they do. And as a team, we come and we review it based on our CAEP standards and how they align to the CAEP standards, and they write their report to actually address those standards. And so then what we do is we read the report, we give some feedback, they give us additional information if we need additional information, and then we come on campus and talk to all the various stakeholders, and you're in that group because you are alumni, you were once students here, and just listen to what you have to say. It is not I'm trying to get you punitive or anything negative like that. It's just listening to their story and checking for consistency between the different stakeholders as it relates to their story. And sometimes we ask questions because we need additional information that sometimes only that particular stakeholder group can give us. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. You want to start, Anna Maria?
Sure.
Oh, by the way, we are looking at our devices, not because we're using them, is because we have different committee members' questions on different devices, because we're here and there's 5 of us, and so we kind of share our time by sending our questions with other people, and they do the same. So we're not looking at it because we're checking text or anything like that.
So tell us a little bit about the strength of your program. If what do you think were the best parts? A couple of you are from instruction and curriculum. We can start with that.
I think Kaylee and Sherry, right?
Yes. Some of the strengths, far as I did the online version, and one thing that I liked was the weekly instructor videos that were given out along with the weekly assignments. They were very detailed, and I felt like I was supported each week. I also liked a lot of the technology integration that was within a lot of my assignments. A lot of those I took like in maybe the next week and used them right along in my classroom. So I thought that was a strength.
Jerry, I want to go back because you just tapped on something I learned in my previous meeting with another stakeholders group about those instructor videos.
Yes.
Tell me more about what are those instructor videos?
Well, basically each instructor, they would, for the upcoming week assignments, they would give us a video that explained in detail what each assignment we needed to complete, what we needed to do, any thing prior to the assignment. I guess a further breakdown of what questions we might have. We also would have Zoom meetings like we're doing now, like if there were like further questions about an assignment, or maybe like the project type things that were larger, we could get together with our instructor and they would further support us by answering any questions that we might have.
Was your entire program online?
Yes, I did the 5, I think it was 5 semesters, and all of it was online.
Okay, great.
Kaylee, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You were a CNI as well, correct?
Yes.
Were you in the 100% online?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and what was your experience?
I really enjoyed my experience. I think one of the biggest strengths of the program that I know I was concerned about going into a totally online program was being able to build that community within the cohort. And I think that's something that we definitely did, build a community and able to work with other educators online throughout the state and share different resources and learn different things from each other. So I think our professors really encouraged us to build that community of educators and work together and collaborate.
Great.
Excellent. Now we also have several in, I'm messing up the letters.
The MELS program, MELS,
Thank
or the
you.
EDLS, yeah.
The MELS.
The MELS. Let's do the MELS first and then the EDLS.
Okay.
Okay, MELS first. So why don't you start us since you're right here with us?
Speaking to the strengths.
Yes.
Okay. The strengths of the MELS program were much like the EDLS program in that it is very practical and there's a clinical approach to it. While you do share a lot of theory, as with any master's program, I believe that the strength was you were learning skills. You were also practicing those skills and collaborating with people who are currently on the job. One of the things I really liked about the program was how up to date it was as far as things that are being practiced in schools, as far as leadership practices and district level practices, and also working with folks who were a part of current school systems that are very successful. And so you're learning from folks who have a lot of knowledge about working best practice. And so the biggest strength to me was that it was very practical, clinical approach. So that when you were walking out of the program, you had skill set that you could go immediately on the job in a licensure program. You're earning a license, and that you could practice those things successfully on the job, which was really powerful.
And if you say, what is that one practical thing that you were taught? That top one, what was it?
Oh my goodness.
He graduated in 11th, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember.
I would say the biggest part of that was collaboration.
Collaboration.
It really that is very. It's a skill set that is very much needed. You can think critically, and you can learn to articulate certain things, especially with executive standards, and know them. But working together and using to be able to synergize everybody's best components to move an organization forward was probably the biggest takeaway for me.
Okay. Jeff, were you males?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Who else was males? There was somebody.
Philip.
Are you still there?
We lost him.
Oh.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay.
Here you are.
So you were males as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell us about the strengths that you saw.
I like the flexibility, being able to work, and the time. It gave me enough time to actually complete the program while teaching and doing my internship.
Okay.
So the scheduling of the program, the flexibility?
Yeah. Right, the scheduling was perfect.
Okay.
Great.
Now let's go to EDEI.
There's EDLS and EDC.
Oh, EDLS. I knew I was going to mess it up. That's why I was looking at Philip. I mean, not Philip Dale, because I knew I was going to mess it up. EDL. Okay, you know which one I'm talking about. Jeff, help me out.
Several things. One, I did the hybrid program where we were there one weekend a month, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And then during the week, we had a 3-hour meeting through Zoom. And that was very effective because, just as Philip said, it allowed you to maintain your job and your schedule and work. Professors that I had were always flexible because I have responsibilities where I had to be at board meetings, and they would work with me if I had to miss because of a school board meeting. Also, as I said earlier, the practical application of the materials was good. But one of the things that I was most impressed about was they were open to feedback on the quality of the materials, because I'm a little bit older than most people on this call, and so I would challenge sometimes some of the material for its currency, and they would be willing to listen to maybe we should look at a different piece of material.
So they were able to take student feedback and make some changes?
Yes. And they would do it during class. They didn't wait till the end of the semester feedback in the survey. They would take it midstream.
Right.
Darice?
Yes.
Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
All right. How about you?
As everyone else said, the best part of the program that I enjoyed was the collaborative aspect of it. We were able to come together, and I too attended a hybrid model. We were able to come together during the week on Zoom, as well as during the weekend, one weekend a month, and we were able to share our expertise and views around different topics. And I also like the relevancy as it pertained to different projects that we were required to complete for each class. One of which was the ethical aspects of the leadership position. I truly enjoyed that part because it helped me grow as a professional. As I learned the human resources side of it, as I strengthened my skill in building capacity with my staff and strengthening my skill with bridging the gaps between the school and the community. And I enjoyed discussing around those topics with the professors because there was such deep levels of expertise, and just picking their brains in some of the instances where they were actually able to extend past the professor role and more so extend to the mentorship role. So I truly enjoyed every aspect of the program.
Sherry, I think you got a dog in need.
He's waiting for dinner.
One question we had from a colleague was, let me see if I can put it well. What assessments or how were you given feedback in the progression of the program? So you started the program, and how did the faculty know that you're able to continue successfully? There's program requirements for entry, and there's program requirements for exit. What about in the middle? What expectations did they have? How did they monitor that you were doing okay? Does that make sense?
What kind of feedback did you receive, and how often?
And who monitors?
And what determines whether you go from the first semester to the next through the end?
Well, for my classes, we received feedback depending on what we were discussing or depending on the assignment that we had to present for that particular week, we received feedback each time we met. In terms of determining the level of proficiency to move to the next class, the classes, there was an assessment at the end, whether it was a project assessment or whether it was a formative assessment that we had to take to measure our, mastery toward the information that we learned during that particular subject.
Now, was the feedback just from the faculty, or was the feedback also from maybe a self-feedback or peer feedback?
It was both. It was from the professor and it was from the students in the class. Depending on the project, for example, if we had to present a presentation, there was a feedback session, whereas each member of the class gave their level of feedback toward what you presented. And then the professor would kind of come in behind everybody and lend his expertise and his feedback and then move to the next student. So it was ongoing feedback.
Okay. And how about, did any of your assignments or tasks require you to take it out to the schools or to stakeholders, and did any of that feedback come back? I mean, how was that feedback?
Well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Doris.
That's okay.
We each had, I won't call it a mentor, but someone assigned to you that had to sign off as you were going through, at least in my district we did. And they would give feedback and the information had to be relevant. The superintendent might say, I'd like to see you work on this as part of that project and get you directed that way. So you're getting feedback from that person that gave you exposure. But the superintendent had to sign off that you were participating in the process with Gardner Webb. So we got a lot of feedback. And then as Doris pointed out, one of the things that was really team oriented, and a couple of our professors were very unique in how they would do it. They would pass out candy or cards, and just whoever got the same ones, that's how they matched the teams up so that you couldn't play favorites and know who was strong at what, made you work across. Actually, in the third semester, we did a mock where we went to the Cleveland County School Board and did a mock school board meeting to give people exposure to that who'd never seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, I experienced a lot of different types of feedback. So a lot of you guys have spoken to that. So you're talking about student feedback and different projects. And going back to speaking very practical of that, in the MELS program, if I can remember back, you're transitioning from a teacher leader to an executive. And so they're teaching you how to give feedback differently. And so instead of you're giving feedback to teachers, and part of the projects that we were able to complete in those programs were learning how to give critical feedback to other folks as an executive. And so that was really powerful. But you're also getting feedback from your peers. You're getting feedback from your administrators at your current school level as mentors on projects that you're presenting. I can remember presenting in the EDLS program, and we got feedback from the state too. So we're presenting students. They got to give us part of the assignment. I'm going to reflect on that. So we're having to reflect on the feedback that we're getting back to us from multiple.
So you do some self-reflection as well.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. At the end of each artifact and evidence that we had to present in the ELS and MELS, we had reflection pieces to those.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else want to add to that? CNI folks?
I think everything that they said applies to the CNI program as well. We had peer reviews and peer assessments on our work. Frequently we had professor comments and feedback on our work. If we went out into the community with a project, we got feedback from those participants in those events. And then every assignment, even our discussion board post, had a reflection piece where we had to talk about what we learned from it, how it related to our standards, and make that connection for ourselves as well.
What standard?
It was the educator standards for leadership, teacher leaders.
The teacher leadership standards.
Yes.
And also, the graduate teacher standards also.
Bing, bing, that's correct. I just wanted to see, especially you fresh graduates.
And we have, let's see, that's a two-part question. The first part question is a yes or no. As alumni of the programs, were once not exit, not when you finish the program, but a year out or 2 years out or 3 years out after having completed the program, were you surveyed as to the preparation for the current role that you have? Some of your principals and so on. Were you surveyed as an alumni? 1 year out of the program,
Were
2
you
years
ever,
out?
did you ever receive a survey from the institution about how well prepared you felt
After you graduated?
graduated in your current position?
Yes.
Yeah. I have not received one from the EDLS program, which was recently in May.
Right.
But that's too soon, yes.
Yeah, but I have received surveys from my mills program.
How about you guys?
And Sherry, you said?
Yes, I did receive a survey, and it was basically about the things you just said. How did I feel about being prepared for the my current position right now, based on what I went through with the online master's program?
How about the others?
Jeff,
Yes,
was that
I have received that. I've also been in a focus group.
Oh, tell us about that.
They just got a group of leaders who use their graduates together to discuss how the program graduates were performing in their roles in the district.
When was this, Jeff?
It's been over the last school year.
Last school year?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And it served the same purpose as the survey, trying to find out how prepared you were?
Well, no, ma'am. This was different. I'm saying they offered a survey like the typical "How are you prepared?" But this was where they reached out to district leaders, asking us to meet in small groups to discuss how their graduates were doing in the program.
Oh, the other.
So you were an employee. You were an employee, employer pool.
I am an employer who employs Gardner-Webb graduates.
And so they wanted to know how well prepared you felt as an employer.
Correct.
Yes, I got it.
Of their other candidates in other programs. Initial programs, teachers?
Yeah, for both the master's program and the doctoral program to see if the program aligned with what we needed in developing leaders for our district.
So how prepared are the folks that you hire as a district leader? Is that right?
Yes.
That's good. So how about Kaylee or Darcy? Did you do? Doris. Yeah. Instead of Clarice, Doris. Okay, I got it. Doris, Kylie, did you do alumni surveys?
I believe for me it may be too soon. I do not yet graduate until May 11th.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, so
I think it is too soon because you're yet a alumni. You're very close, right?
Yes, I'm finished with the program and everything. I'm just waiting to walk.
Your turn.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How about Doris or Philip?
No, Doris just answered.
Oh, Doris just answered.
Kaylee.
Or Philip, right?
And Philip.
Yes, I did a survey. I think about a year after I graduated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Kaylee.
I haven't quite hit the year mark. I'm getting close, probably another month away, so I would expect to receive one soon. I also completed a gifted certification add-on, so I don't know if that might push me back a little bit more.
You could, because you're still considered an active student then.
Okay, great. And so the second part of the survey, the second part of the question is, what do you think that alumni say about the needs to improve? In other words, what do the alumni say, and it may be your feeling or not, that are areas where the program did not prepare you as well as collaboration. Say a lot of you mentioned that collaboration was the strength of the program. So that's the strength. What areas do you feel, or do you think that the alumni say that need improvement?
And let me preface that first with the fact that the whole premise of our accreditation is that you should be continually improving. You should always be looking at yourself and growing. And if through the time between accreditations, you have not changed anything, you have not taken time to explore how you can improve, that's more problematic than you telling us this answer. Does that make sense? So what could they do? What could they do a little bit better?
Right, exactly.
Well, Sherry's earlier comment about the integration of technology is evolving, and I think higher ed is slow to follow what K-12 is being asked to do, and so they could seek more input on that. I recognize they have funding restrictions just like we do, but often it felt like their technology lagged ours to where it was difficult to transition.
You put your finger right on it, because that's what the alumni survey said. In the MELS program, only 43% of the alumni are satisfied with the preparation and technology. So you're absolutely correct.
Anyone else?
Any other areas? And it may be that in your program it was fine in technology. But any other areas where...
And they will never know it came from you.
Oh, no. It's confidential, but any areas that you think could be improved, then this is the occasion to give them that feedback so that improvement happens.
Nothing?
No, I concur with the technology piece.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the program grow from 2013 to EDLS, the biggest thing I would say would be some tech as well, and a really best practice for technology.
Best practice for technology.
Not just integrating technology, but really
how to use technology
to as an influencer,
yeah.
As a change agent. How to use it to,
and not a babysitter.
Yeah, we're not talking about blended learning instruction. That's the CI part of it. But for me, as an executive leader, how do you use it to advance an organization?
That's a good point. As a leader.
Yeah. How do you make use of technology? Because as much as we would like to sit here and say we need to integrate technology more, well, technology is moving so fast.
You're behind before you start talking.
You cannot keep up.
Yes.
You cannot keep up.
And unfortunately, the audience that we serve, which are the children or young people, they're way more advanced than any of us. So,
John, I like those words. How to using technology to advance the organization. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
As a leader, right? That makes a lot of sense. Anything else? I think the MELS program has changed. If I looked at the feedback as they exited, as the candidates exited the program a while ago, those exit surveys said a lot about it has to be reorganized or restructured or get a handle on it already. We have,
I was in it. Like I said, I graduated from it in 2013, and I see it all the time right now, and it is amazing how much it's changed. Amazing.
Can you give me a little, because most of it said something like, you got to get it organized, you got to get structured, you get to let candidates know what the expectations are. How has that changed? What I can see now that's been really big positive changes is how much student feedback is given, how often student feedback is given, how much is communicated to candidates. So we're talking multiple times
throughout the week that you have communication that's given to candidates. And so that's instructional communication, but that's also communication as to task orientation. It's also like, you know, feedback on assignments, how to prepare them properly. And it's also student feedback that's given. And a lot of that has to do with the introduction of some technology. I think that instructors are better prepared now. The time I was an alumni in 2013 to currently, even in the EDLS program, and I see my eyes on it now, people are more confident all around as far as the organization of the evidences, artifacts, digital portfolios. People understand, have a better holistic approach to what is being taught and what's expected of folks in the real world as far as the boots on the ground has changed a lot. So there's been a lot of positive changes over the last 5 years.
And you think it was because of student feedback saying get your act together, guys?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And how long did it take for that transition to occur?
I could not speak to that. It could have been 2 years, could have been 3. I know that my time from exiting the Mills program to currently has been 5 years.
Okay.
Anyone else in that 5-year window? Not. I know most of you are a recent graduate or soon to be recent graduates. Anyone from back to 5 years ago or 4?
I did, what I did was first was the licensure program for the executive leadership administration part. And then I went back because they said I only had to complete 2 more classes to get a master's. So I ended up doing it. So it ended up being like a total of 3 years. But started in 14. And the first year we got there, that was pretty much the confusing portion of it. We ended up having 2, I guess, like for the semester, had 2 instructors. And they were not, I mean, they were hired by the school to teach it, but they were retired principals. And we had also mentors that were they weren't, I mean, they were hired by the university, but they were actual principals themselves. And the theory was good at in the beginning, but as far as the feedback portion of that first year that we had 12 cohorts, and we all had different mentors that worked inside of the schools in Wake County. And a lot of times our feedback wouldn't come back and in a timely fashion before our artifacts and things had to come in. Our evidences would have to come in. And that ended up being the portion. And by the time we got to the next semester, of course, because, you know, those elements were all broken down throughout the whole year, we ended up having to redo some of them because of the lack of feedback and because some of the items that we were putting in weren't measurable to the point where up to the standards of what it was. So, you know, we would put them in and they would be graded at the end of the semester, which by then they would say, you know, you said you got to go back and fix these things. So at the end.
The semester was over.
Huh?
And the semester was over, she said. Right,
the semester was over, but we were still in the program, so we still had enough time to come back and do it. But it was in the next semester, so we had to redo those, and then also do the work that was in the semester as well. That was due. So it ended up towards the end, ended up getting Dr. Lamb as my mentor, and that changed a lot of things because he had pretty much a detailed plan, and it was concise, and it was still and it was understandable. So that second and third year moved along real smooth. But that was the issue that we ended up having with that, because we had a lot of I won't say hoops to jump through, but we had a lot of different points to go to before we had that our product was finished. So that
was that submitting to task stream?
Right, submitting it to task stream. Well, first, you know, we want our you know, of course, we get our principal, which was technically our on-site mentor, to they would say, this is what we want you to do, and then of course we will run that back with our instructor, and they will say, yeah, that was a good idea or not a good idea. Then we will put it in task stream, and then we will get that information and feedback from them. And then, but so, and then if we got like our mentor from like the area that was a principal or anything like that, that was feedback we weren't getting. So we would just use that. But then at the end, like once we put it in task stream and say like final, they would say, well, this isn't measurable. And this is what needs to be. This is what needs to look like. So we will end up having that problem there.
And so I would echo what Philip just shared. The university had a process where you would submit things into task stream, and then an independent review panel would look at that to see how they met the standards that the artifacts were supposed to be meeting. The review of that was very haphazard and not timely at all compared to the requirements the university had for us submitting things. And I believe they're trying to improve that process, but Ms. Irby could speak to that probably, but during our doctoral, I've only had one of probably 8 modules reviewed, and we're about to graduate.
Okay. Let me ask you this. I know that Sherry earlier, I believe Sherry said that there are videos that you can view to help explain the assignment. Jeff, Philip, and as well as you, did you all have those same instructional videos or how-to videos?
No, ma'am, they weren't. Were they on task stream? Is that where we were supposed to find them, or was?
Sherry?
No, they were uploaded with our weekly assignments, and some of them also even had exemplars to go along with it. Maybe 3 or 4 exemplars, so we would know what to expect, what it would look like, and that was very helpful.
Right. No, we didn't have.
Been in the instructional curriculum.
No, it's other. I got that from earlier meeting.
Yeah.
I did not have it in my MELS program. Of course, I completed that in 2013. I did have those in my EDLS program, which I think we finished last
And
May.
is it in the MELS program now?
Yeah. No, they're faculty talked about it earlier. That's why.
Which is what
I'm
makes
asking.
really the program very flexible.
Right.
And the exemplars was something they said they added as well. But so you all did not have that.
No, we didn't have that. Closest thing we had to examples were some of the professors brought in examples of the artifacts and evidences that were approved.
And Jeff said that there's still a struggle, at least with the doc program, to get timely feedback.
Yeah, I believe it has gotten a little better. There is a delay. When I was going through the coursework, there was a delay in the feedback at the end of each semester. We were required to populate our evidences on task stream, and we're told that within a timeline, one of the professors that is assigned to review our artifact will review it, and then we can then access task stream to review the score that we received. I would say out of all the classes that I have taken, that has happened in terms of the delay twice. Whereas the class was over and several classmates were still waiting for their evidences to be reviewed and scored. But it was scored prior to the onset of the subsequent course.
All right. We're almost out of time. We have a couple more minutes. Is there anything that you would like to share with us, be it improvement, be it a great program, anything that you would like to, parting words?
Something we didn't ask you and you're ready to share?
It was just a wonderful experience. I had been contemplating getting my master's, and I waited. This is more than 20 years to do it, but I'm very glad I did it, and I thought they were a great choice for me to have that done. Like I said, I enjoyed how even though it was online and I was 3-4 hours away, it still felt like I was getting that support where I felt like I would be successful at it. In the very beginning, I felt like I couldn't do it the first semester, but as it went on. You know, one semester turned into the second, and then so on. But I felt like it really prepared me to be a better teacher, better educator. Because after 20 years, I felt like, you know, I had, you know, learned a lot. I knew a lot of best practices already, but it took it up to a higher level. So I felt like it was all worth it.
Great, thank you.
We want to thank you all for giving up of your time and for you coming in and for you all giving up your time and on a Sunday and because I'm sure there's a million things you could be doing instead of this. And we appreciate it. And I guess most of you are about to go on spring break or something like that. So this is really a big commitment to say, okay, start my spring break off talking to these strangers. But thank you very much. We appreciate you all, and you all have a blessed Sunday.
Thank you. You too.
Bye now. Thanks
Bye-bye.
again. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Now, what,
Thank you.
you're a principal?
Yes, ma'am.
At what kind of school?
It's a high school
Okay,
Oh,
where?
God bless.
in Henderson County.
I've been there.
Yeah, we're about 15 minutes south of Asheville.
There's a
Right.
Girl Scout camp in Henderson, right?
Uh-huh.
And my daughter used to go to that Girl Scout camp every summer.
No kidding.
Yeah.
There's a lot of camps in Henderson and Transylvania County.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
great camps. I mean, they're work. I mean,
She
look at the
went to
mountains.
that, right?
Yeah.
She went.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, great talking to you guys.
Great.
All right,
Thank you, Tom.
Yes.
And you can leave the door open behind you.
Okay.
We will be right with you, okay? We'll start at about at 4:30.
Thank you.
You got to work tomorrow. Thank you.